You're watching the Cop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it in front of the Cop.
Yes, people, welcome back to the Cop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. Bit of breaking news to bring to you this morning. Smash that like button, do the right thing, comment with your thoughts on the following, then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Big one this. It looks like Liverpool have turned down the offer to sign Anthony Gordon from Newcastle United, the former Evertonian, the Liverpool fan, the boyhood Liverpool fan. The Magpies also wanted Jarell Quansah as part of the deal, but Liverpool feel they are well stocked in the wide areas. So it's not necessarily us going for Gordon, but at the same time, to keep up with PSR and FFP, I do believe that Newcastle have offered him to us and they want Jarell Quansah in return. Last season, he got 10 goals and 11 assists in the Premier League. He's obviously a very good player there, but as you said, as I've just said, Liverpool feel like they are stocked up well in the wide areas where Anthony Gordon would play, obviously. Now, can you imagine, right, for 1 second, the boiling piss from the bitter blues across Stanley Park? Can you imagine how they would have felt if Anthony Gordon signed for Liverpool? And there's the picture of him, by the way. I think that's him going into the FA Cup semi-final in 2015. Liverpool against Aston Villa. There he is as a Liverpool fan. I mean, is he a good player? Yes. Is there still an opportunity that Liverpool go for him? I think there is, but we've rejected these terms. It's not necessarily that Liverpool don't want Anthony Gordon. I think he'd be a good addition. Of course I do. But at the same time, with the Everton connections, how well he's doing at Newcastle, it would be interesting to have seen how this would have played out with Newcastle fans, knowing that their club has to sell English players for profit to keep up with the financial fair play regulations. Now, I've seen some Liverpool fans, for example, LFC Laurie, right, big on Twitter. He said, I don't care who else we sign. If we replace Luis Diaz with Anthony Gordon, that's immediately a good window in my eyes. Now, I disagree. I think pound for pound, I would still go with Luis Diaz, but 10 goals and 11 assists. Luis Diaz didn't get that last season. It was probably around 8 and 8 or something like that. So again, this deal is not dead in my opinion, right? There was a tweet that went around an hour ago from David Lynch at the Mirror, who did say that Liverpool have turned down the opportunity to sign Anthony Gordon from Newcastle. The Magpies made the first approach as they attempt to comply with PSR, but their attempts to include Jarell Quansah are part of the reasons why talks didn't progress. And that tells you that Liverpool are extremely keen on keeping Jarell Quansah as a top English young talent. I do apologise for the noisy bike in the background. That's going away very shortly, I hope. But because that Newcastle have said we want Jarell Quansah, we are interested in Anthony Gordon, but we're not giving you Jarell Quansah. If you want him, he's going to cost you an extra 30 or 40, in my opinion anyway. That's how much Jarell Quansah is worth, in my opinion, knowing his age, knowing that he's English, knowing that he's got big Premier League experience now with the Reds too. But how do you guys feel about this one? I mean, he's obviously been in the news for the last day or two. He fell off his bike and cut his chin and his face. But to know that Liverpool have turned down the opportunity to sign him, I think is a bit of a lazy title, because I think Liverpool would take him. We've just rejected those offers that Newcastle have given us, right? Even my boy Matty Renton, right, head of the chief honcho at the Magpie channel, he says, this is going to be Keegan on the steps moment all over again. Eddie Howe explaining why we sold Anthony Gordon. This would be absolutely devastating. So obviously the Newcastle fans definitely do not want him to go anywhere. For example, Craig Hope from the Daily Mail earlier tweeted, Newcastle were ready to sell Anthony Gordon to Liverpool as the club strive to comply with PSR, but talks broke down. There is a small chance of revival, and Jarell Quansah was part of the package discussed, but LFC don't want to lose him. Matty Renton quote tweeted that said, this would be an absolute disgrace if it happened. And obviously he was this morning absolutely cacking his pants that his beloved Anthony Gordon might come back to the city of Liverpool, but not in the blue colours, the red colours, yeah, the colours that he supported all of his life. Shout out to Matty Renton, who would have been absolutely beside himself if Anthony Gordon was allowed to leave Newcastle. But if I'm a Newcastle fan, I'm really worried right now, because to me, that says, look, we're trying to offload him. I've seen Chelsea linked with him. I've seen other big clubs in Europe linked with him. They have to obviously offload him to comply, as I said, with PSR and FFP. But at the same time, he probably doesn't want to leave. You know, he really doesn't want to leave. As Anthony Gordon is currently with England at the Euros, had there been progress, a medical with Liverpool in Leipzig would have happened, but that has now been mooted, right? Really interesting to see what Anthony Gordon is going to say next when he's ever in the press conference. Gary Neville on the overlap asked him, who's your football hero growing up? He said Steven Gerrard. Of course he did, as most people do. Even the Sport Bible have gone with Liverpool pulled the plug on the Anthony Gordon transfer because of the player Newcastle asked for in the swap deal. Footy accumulators are now on it. Newcastle journalist Craig Cope has reported that talks have now broken down, or have been taking place, but have now broken down. And it says if the Everton fans could hate Gordon anymore. I mean, genuinely, without joking, right? If a former Evertonian or a former Liverpool player goes to Everton or vice versa, there is a worry for their safety. I'll be honest with you, right? If he did come to Liverpool, there would have been a massive uproar from the Evertonians. They wouldn't have liked it, obviously. And who knows, in the derby, he might have got absolute pelters. I mean, we used to boo him. In the derby, I call him Anne Robinson, the weakest link, because that's what he looks like. So the Evertonians really, really wouldn't have liked it. And as I said, he's got absolute pelters at the derby in recent years. Whenever he's come to Anfield, we've called him a diver, etc., etc. Some not very nice words. And I genuinely would have felt for his safety if he did come to Liverpool. And as I said, that deal is not done. It's not dead in the water. I think there is an opportunity that Liverpool do come back in for Anthony Gordon. But where does that leave Luis Diaz? Now, the question that I'm asking you guys in the chat is essentially, would you replace Luis Diaz with Anthony Gordon? Again, the numbers are good. I think it's 10 goals in back-to-back seasons for Anthony Gordon. But I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. And I am quite glad, actually, that Liverpool have almost stuck to their guns and said, we know that you've got to sell. We know that you've got to comply with FFP and PSR. We know all that. But guess what? We don't care. That seems like a you problem, not an us problem. So right now, as things stand, Liverpool have rejected the offer to sign him. It's very rare that happens. You get an offer to sign someone. It's normally we go in for that player and get accepted or rejected. But for them to offer Anthony Gordon to us is quite wild. And it shows their cards. It shows how desperate Newcastle are to offload him. He obviously doesn't want to leave Newcastle. He went there with big hopes of playing in the Champions League, which he did last season, but also carrying on and progressing. But at the same time, if I was Anthony Gordon, how could you ever turn down a move to Liverpool? But knowing his connections with Everton, that would have been very hard. And he would have been one of very, very few players to not make that switch immediately, but with a club in between. That hasn't happened maybe since Nick Barmby, I'll be honest with you, a very long time ago. So again, Liverpool have rejected the offer to sign Anthony Gordon. A fee wasn't necessarily spoken about that much, but at the same time there was a Gerald Quansah swap deal which Liverpool just weren't keen on, so we've kind of backed out of the race. But let me know what you think in the comments to Anthony Gordon being linked to Liverpool. It looks like Liverpool have rejected the offer and we move on, right? England playing tomorrow. Trent will play at some point. If not starting, it will be off the bench. And of course, we'll be back on Monday with Hot Topics with myself and Dor. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of this. It's going to be a really good month here on the Cop TV. With all the pre-season build-up, we've got it all for you. No to Gordon, but yes to subscribing, please. Take care.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you check out the rest of the channel too. There's other stuff you'll enjoy for sure.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the Cop TV.
The voice of football's
most famous dads. Come on.